My mom called while I was in the hospital. Can you babysit this weekend? Your sister needs a break. I just had emergency surgery. I said, I'm literally in a hospital bed. She replied, so you're not dying. Stop being dramatic. And hung up. I stared at the ceiling. Then I called my bank. Update the $30,000 loan I co-signed for my sister. I went out. 10 minutes later, mom called 47 times. The medication pump clicks every few seconds like a metronome for pain. The clock over the door says 9:13 p.m. My abdomen feels like someone rearranged my organs with a spoon. Emergency surgery, the surgeon had said. Appendix almost ruptured. A mess of infection. Good timing, he'd smiled. My phone buzzes against the rolling tray. The screen lights the dark room. Mom, of course. I hit accept because anesthesia makes you stupidly hopeful. Hey, I croak. My throat is sandpaper. She doesn't say hi. Chris, can you babysit this weekend? Your sister needs a break. For a second, I think I miss her. I glance at the 4-line in my hand, the blood pressure cuff, the pulse ox on my finger, the hospital bracelet with my name. Christopher Hall, 35, post-op. I'm literally in a hospital bed. I say I had emergency surgery 3 hours ago. My voice sounds weirdly calm, like I'm giving a case presentation. I'm a psychologist. I'm supposed to know how to name reality. Mom sigh annoyed. Okay, but that's Friday. This is only Tuesday. You'll be home by then. Melissa really needs a break. Chris, you know how hard she has it. I stare at the little dry erase board where a nurse wrote my pain scale earlier. August 10th. Right now it's a solid 9. Mom, they removed my appendix. I say I'll have stitches. I can't pick up her kids. You're not dying, she snaps. Stop being dramatic. My mouth goes dry in an entirely new way. There it is, the family script. I am not being dramatic, I say slowly. I'm telling you a medical fact. On the plastic chair in the corner is Nora's backpack. My daughter's unicorn keychain dangles from the zipper. She left it when my neighbor rushed her home after they wheeled me into surgery. Mom barrels on. Melissa is exhausted. She's been crying on the phone. 3 kids, no help. Connor always at work, and you're just lying there doing nothing. I'm recovering from surgery. I repeat, from an appendix, she says, like I had a hangale removed. They do those laparoscopic. You're home in a day. This is exactly why we say you overthink everything. You're always in crisis mode. Just say yes and be supportive for once. He crawls up my neck. I physically won't be allowed to lift more than 10 pounds. I say, your grandchildren weigh more than that. She huffs. You're a psychologist. You sit in a chair all day. You can sit in a chair with kids there. We all make sacrifices for family. Your sister would do it for you. Interesting. Melissa has never done anything for me that didn't come with an invoice. I'm not babysitting this weekend, I say. I'm not committing to anything while I'm in a hospital bed. And there's a sharp silence. And then the voice she uses when she wants to sound reasonable and is actually being cruel. Well, she says, I see. Sweet. When the bank called about that $30,000 loan, you didn't overthink that. You signed. You said you'd be there for your sister. Apparently that was just talk. My stomach twists. The loan, I swallow. Those are not the same thing. Whatever, she snaps. You know what? I'm done discussing this. You're selfish, you're ungrateful, and you wonder why you're alone. Melissa is drowning, and you're lying there treating my surgery like it was nothing. She exhales hard. So you're not dying. Stop being dramatic. And she hangs up. The call drops. The room hums. Monitor beeping. Hallway cart squeaking. Someone laughing down the hall. Inside my head, everything goes very, very still. My hands are cold. My spine feels hollow. My brain does what it always does when a client tells me about a crisis. It starts counting. 45 minutes in the ER before they took blood. 4 hours from first pain to surgery. 3 days of PTO I don't have. $30,000 of debt with my name on it. I stare at the blank ceiling. Nora's crayon drawing is taped to the rail. A crooked heart that says Dad in shaky letters. I hear my own voice in my head, the one I use in session. If a client told you this story, Chris, what would you say? I don't scream, I don't cry. I reach for my phone, thumb clumsy around the floor. I open my banking app, find the number. Lakeview Community Credit Union Loan Services. When the rep answers, I say very calmly, Hi, my name is Christopher Hall. I'm calling about the $30,000 personal loan I co-signed for my sister, Melissa Reed. I need to update my involvement. I want out. 10 minutes later, my mom has called 47 times. I'm 35. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in Chicago with my 5-year-old daughter, Nora, and too many therapy books. By day, I'm Dr. Hall, staff psychologist at a community mental health clinic. By night, I'm the guy who collapses on the couch with chicken nuggets and blue. By birth order, I'm the responsible one. My parents call it the strong one. What they mean is the one we lean on until he breaks. My sister Melissa is 3 years younger. Growing up, she was sensitive and I was stable. That was the family language. When Melissa threw a fit, she was overwhelmed. When I got upset, I was dramatic. When Melissa forgot to do chores, Mom said, She's distracted, poor thing. When I forgot, Dad said, "You're lazy. You know better." We grew up in a small house in Joliet. Dad drove trucks. Mom did bookkeeping for a dentist. We were never rich, but we were never hungry. The currency in our family wasn't money. It was compliance. Family helps. Mom would say, "Don't make a scene. Be smooth about it." Smooth mint. Don't challenge them. Smooth mint. Swallow it. The first time I babysat for Melissa, I was 17. She'd gone to a party, came home drunk, threw up on the hallway rug. The next day, Mom pulled me aside. "Don't tell your father," she said. "Just keep an eye on her. You're good with kids. You can guide her." Guide her meant cover for her. In college, when I came home on weekends, Melissa would drop her toddler, Owen, at the door with a diaper bag and a wave. "I just need to run some errands," she'd say. Errands were 4-hour gaps that smelled like vodka when she came back. If I hesitated, Mom would murmur, "She's a single mom, Chris. We help." You're not selfish, are you? When Nora was born, I moved back in for a bit. My ex, Danny, and I imploded quietly when Nora was 1. Therapists are not immune to terrible relationships. For the record, I was working 40 hours at the clinic and picking up extra telehealth clients at night. Melissa started calling it free daycare. "Drop Nora with Mom," she'd say. "You know they're there anyway. I have a hair appointment." If I said I was tired, Dad would chuckle. "You sit in a chair and talk all day, son. Your sister's on her feet with 3 kids." By the time Melissa married Connor, the narrative was cemented. Melissa struggles. Chris manages. Whenever money came up, it was a script. Money is just numbers. Mom would say, "Family is priceless. We don't nickel and dime each other." Translation: Melissa didn't pay people back. Last spring, Melissa called with her voice high and breathy. "Chris, you're the only one who understands credit stuff." I was in my office between sessions, eating a granola bar over notes. "What happened?" I asked. She launched into a story about predatory interest rates, medical bills, daycare costs, and a once-in-a-lifetime chance to consolidate everything into one manageable loan. "It's only $30,000, she said only. "We'll do it through Lakeview," she said. "They said I just need a co-signer." Connor's credit is, and Mom and Dad are too old. They said you qualify easy. My stomach had that familiar drop. The one between I know better and they'll hate me if I say no. "I really can't," I said at first. "My name's the only thing I have." She'd started crying. Real tears are weaponized. Hard to tell over the phone. "I'm drowning, Chris," she said. "Do you want my kids to lose their house? Is that better for Nora to watch her cousins get evicted while their uncle sat on his perfect credit score?" In the background, I heard Mom. "Put me on," she said. "Chris," Mom's voice came through smooth. "Your sister is in trouble. Lakeview is a community bank. It's not like some big corporation. You're helping your family. You're investing in your niece and nephew's future. You can't be that cold." I had a client in 8 minutes. I'd slept 4 hours the night before. My brain, the same brain that coaches clients on boundaries, folded like a lawn chair. 2 days later, I sat in a tiny office at Lakeview. The loan officer slid papers across the desk. Principal balance $30,000, interest 8.9%, term 60 months. He smiled. "If she pays on time, it's no problem. Co-signers almost never end up responsible. It just helps the underwriting." I signed. Melissa hugged me outside the branch so hard it hurt my ribs. "You're saving us, Chris," she said. "You won't regret this." 3 months later, the first late payment notice came. "Just a mix-up," she'd said. "I switched accounts." "Don't go into crisis mode. You're always so intense." I paid half of it because the notice had both our names and my heart rate spiked. Told myself it was temporary. I thought it was temporary. It wasn't. Back in the hospital, after I tell the bank I want out, things move fast and slow at the same time. Cosigner release is possible. The loan rep explains her name is Dana. She has a soft Midwestern accent and the kind of voice people automatically trust. "We can mail you the packet," she says. "Your sister would have to qualify on her own. Income verification, credit check. Until then, you're still legally responsible, but this puts a flag on the account. No increases, no restructuring without your consent." A flag? Not perfect, but it's something. Do it, I say. "We'll also note that you requested all communication come directly to you as well," Dana adds. "Email or mail, not through third parties?" "That would be great," I say. "And can you send me a payment history?" "Of course." I hang up. My call log looks insane. 47 missed calls from Mom, 12 from home, 6 from Melissa. Text bubbles stack on the lock screen like a slot machine. "Mom, what did you just do? Mom, call me now." "Melissa, what?" "Chris." "Melissa." Dana from the bank just called me at dinner. "Melissa, are you trying to ruin everything for us?" I take screenshots. Habit evidence? My heart is thawing, but the adrenaline feels clean for once. Not panic, clarity. A nurse comes in to check my vitals. "You okay?" she asks, eyeing my pulse. "Family?" I say. She nods like that explains everything. Later that night, when the meds make my head swim, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and let them scream into the void. Wave 1 hits the next morning at 7:02 a.m. I answer because I'm tired and stupid. What did you do? Mom demands. No hello. I called the bank, I say. I asked for a cosigner release packet. I requested full statements going directly to me. You blindsided your sister. She says, I protected myself, I correct. You made her cry. Mom says, like, that's a crime. She was at Target when the bank lady called. Do you know how humiliating that was? Was it more humiliating than being told to babysit while I'm hooked to 4 antibiotics? She ignores that. We've always managed things as a family, she says. We talk, we don't go to outsiders. The outsider is a federally regulated financial institution. Mom, this isn't a family chat. I say it's a $30,000 legal obligation with my name on it. I'm not comfortable being on it anymore. You can't just decide that, she snaps. I can start the process, I say, and I did. You're overreacting, she says. Just like always. Melissa is trying. She missed a couple of payments. 3, I say, in 6 months with late fees. There's a pause. Then the guilt trip. She's fragile, Mom says. You know how she gets. You're the strong one. You don't crumble over every little stressor. That's why we lean on you. That's why family works. My incision throbs. My strength is not a permission slip, I say. I'm done being leaned on like a piece of furniture. Unbelievable, she mutters. I raised a selfish, cold-hearted. I hit end. Wave 2 comes 3 days after I'm discharged. I'm at home, shuffling around my apartment in sweatpants, trying not to sneeze because it feels like my abdomen will explode. Nora is on the couch, focused on a puzzle. Daddy, look, she says, holding up 2 pieces. These go together. You're right, I say, my chest loosening. Good problem solving. There's a knock at the door. Sharp repeated. Nora flinches. Is Grandma coming? She asks. Stay here, I say. I look through the peephole. Mom, Melissa, of course. I open the door just enough to step into the hall, leaving the safety chain on. You drove an hour to my building with no heads up, I say. Mom's eyes skim over my hunched posture, the drained bag peeking from under my shirt. She doesn't react. Melissa's mascara is smudged. She holds a toddler on one hip, another clinging to her leg. The oldest, Tyler, is scrolling on a tablet. You're ruining my life, Melissa blurts. Hi, Chris, Mom says tightly. We need to talk about what you did at the bank. I feel my pulse in my stitches. Now is not a good time, I say. I'm recovering. Email me. Email. Melissa repeats like I suggested interpretive dance. We're family. You don't email family. What do you want? I ask. Mom exhales through her nose. We need you to call the bank back and tell them you were confused. That you don't actually want off the loan. That you support your sister. No, I say. You don't even know what this is going to do to her credit, Mom says. I know exactly what it's doing to mine, I answer. Melissa shifts the toddler, voice rising. They're going to make me reapply, Chris. They're going to look at Connor's income. We might not qualify. We could lose the house you bought on a loan you can't afford, I say, with my name taped to it like a Band-Aid. She glares. You think you're better than us because you went to school? You think because you sit in your little therapist chair you're above money problems? My jaw tightens. I think actions have consequences, I say. I think signing legal documents matters. Mom leans in. If this loan falls through, I will never forgive you. She says, we will all know exactly why your sister lost her home. I glance back into the apartment. Nora is watching from the couch, puzzle piece in hand, eyes too wide. See, Melissa says, spotting her. This is what I mean. Your kid is fine. She has 1 parent. Mine have 2 and we're drowning. You could help, and you're choosing not to. There it is. Choice is a weapon. I am choosing not to bankrupt my future to clean up messes I didn't make, I say. Melissa's lip curls. You know what? She says. If you don't undo this, I'll make sure everyone at your precious clinic hears about what kind of person you really are. I'll tell them you scream at your family. I'll tell them you're unstable. You think they want a terrible therapist. I feel the old panic surge. Professional reputation, license. Then I remember something from ethics class. Clients don't get fired because their family sends unhinged emails. And I have receipts. Sis. Please leave, I say. Right now. Mom's eyes narrow. Don't threaten me with calling the police, Christopher, she says. We're not criminals. We're family. I haven't mentioned the police, I say. But thank you for the idea. I shut the door. My hands shake, but I slide the deadbolt behind it. I hear Melissa's voice rising. I'm done with you, she yells. Enjoy your perfect little life. You selfish? The hallway swallows the rest. Nora walks over, clutching her puzzle. Are you in trouble? She whispers. No, I say, crouching slowly so my stitches don't scream. I'm not in trouble. Some grown-ups are making bad choices. That's not your fault, and it's not mine. That night, I start a new folder on my laptop. I name it Family Receipts, screenshots of missed call logs, photos of the signed loan documents. The email from Dana confirming the cosigner release process. A note from my phone. Threatened to contact workplace. 3:18 p.m. outside my apartment. That's when I stop arguing and start documenting. 2 weeks later, I get an email from Lakeview. Subject, delinquency notice, cosigned loan. I open it with that weird mix of dread and inevitability. Dear Mr. Hall, this letter is to inform you that your co-signed account ending in 4729 is now 60 days past due. Shasta Smith days. 2 full payments. My chest feels tight. Not panic attack. Anger tight. I call Dana. Thanks for sending this, I say. Can you also email me a full payment history and any notes on the account? Of course, she says. I do see here that Miss Reed mentioned it all. She was counting on additional support from family. Of course she did. Please note, I say, that I will not be making payments on her behalf. I'm pursuing the co-signer release and would like to explore any options for protecting my credit. I'll add a note, she says. Phone down. Hands shaking. I take a breath and do the thing I've been avoiding. I call a lawyer. Her name is Patel, Financial and Consumer Protection. Her assistant gets me a Zoom slot for the next day. On the call, I lay it all out. The emergency surgery, the babysitting demand, the $30,000 loan, the late notices, the threats. Patel is unimpressed in the best way. She takes notes, asks precise questions. Has your sister ever used your information without your consent? She asks. Yes, I say slowly. About a year ago, she opened a store card and put me down as an authorized user without asking. I found out when a card came in the mail. I called and removed myself. They said it happens all the time. Did you keep the letter? I open my folder. Click. Hold it up to the camera. Excellent, Patel says. Here's what we're going to do. She explains it like a treatment plan. Step 1, pull all 3 of my credit reports. Step 2, place a fraud alert and credit freeze. Step 3, send certified letters to Lakeview and any creditors stating that no one is authorized to open accounts, increase limits, or otherwise use my information without my explicit written consent. Step 4, send a cease and desist letter to my family regarding harassment and threats regarding my workplace. You can do that? I ask. You absolutely can, she says. Harassment is harassment, even if they share your DNA. After the call, she emails me drafts. The language is cold and beautiful. Any further unauthorized use of my personal information will be reported as identity theft. Any further attempts to contact my employer or colleagues will be documented and forwarded to legal counsel. I read them 3 times. I add my digital signature. We send them certified. Return receipt requested. 3 days later, Christmas comes early. I'm making Nora mac and cheese when there's pounding on my apartment door. Not a knock. Pounding. Nora jumps. Her fork clatters. I look through the peephole. Dad this time. And Mom. Great. I open the door with the chain on again. Dad's face is red. Did you seriously send us a lawyer letter? He demands, waving the envelope like it's a bomb. Yes, I say. I did. Mom's lips are thin. You're threatening your own mother with legal action. The letter doesn't mention you by name, I say. It mentions family members who have threatened to contact my employer or use my personal information without consent. Dad jabs a finger at me. You think you're better than us, he says. People have hard times. We help each other. We don't sick lawyers on each other. We don't act like strangers. You've been acting like strangers for years, I say quietly. Mom snorts. Oh, because we asked you to watch your niece and nephews. Because we expected you to help with a loan you agreed to. No, I say. Because you told me in a hospital bed that my surgery was not dying, so I should suck it up and babysit. Because you've sold my time and my credit as if it belongs to you. Because my sister threatened my job when I protected myself. Dad's jaw clenches. You brought that on yourself. There's a flicker in my chest. Not doubt. Something closing behind me. I feel Nora's presence. She's hovering by the hallway, trying to make herself small. Is Grandpa mad? She whispers. I turn my head just enough to see her. I've got it, I say. Then I look back at my parents and say one sentence. Any further contact about Melissa's loan or childcare goes through my lawyer. Dad laughs. Ugly. You're going to call the cops on your own father. If you show up here and refuse to leave, yes, I say. For a second, everything stills. Then Mom's face twists. I don't even recognize you, she says. This is what therapy did. Turned you against your own family. No, I say. You did that all by yourselves. She inhales sharp. Come on, she hisses to Dad. Let's go! Before he calls 911 on his poor old parents. They stomp down the hall. Dad shouts over his shoulder. When Melissa's homeless, remember you did that. The elevator door closes on his voice. I stand there for a minute, shaking, then close the door. Lock? Deadbolt. Nora pads over in sock feet. Are we in trouble now? She asks. I kneel slowly, one hand on my stitches. No, I say. We're safe. That's what this is about. She leans into me. Are they mad at me? No, honey, I say. They're mad at me because I said no. We stay like that for a second. My phone buzzes. A new email from Officer Ramirez. Subject, incident report number 23 to 1142. I'd gone to the station earlier that day at Patel's suggestion to file a preventative report about harassment and threats just in case. The officer had listened, jotted down notes, and given me the number. Sometimes just knowing there's a paper trail calms people down, he'd said. Sometimes it doesn't, I'd replied. Now the number is in my inbox, solid and official. I forward it to Patel. I don't scream. I don't beg. I do the irreversible thing. I freeze my credit. I block my parents' numbers. I remove them from Nora's school pickup list. And in the family group chat, I send one final clean message. Effective immediately, I will not be providing childcare or financial support to Melissa or anyone else. Do not list me on loans, applications, or forms. Any further attempts to use my information or contact my employer will go through my attorney. This is not up for discussion. Then I leave the chat. Silence is loud at first. My phone feels too light without the buzzing emergencies and tiny favors that eat 3 hours. I keep waiting for another knock, another letter, another explosion. Instead, life settles. I go back to the clinic on light duty. Dr. Lee shows me Melissa's rant email, then shrugs. We all have families. This doesn't touch your work. You're a good clinician, Chris. We know the difference between a boundary and a breakdown. At home, Nora adjusts faster than I do. We build Lego, practice letters, dance in the kitchen when my abdomen lets me. Grandma used to call a lot, she says on the way home from preschool. Yeah, she doesn't now. No, I like it when it's just us. 2 months later, a card comes. Family forgives. Don't punish the kids. Smooth this over. No apology. No mention of the hospital or the loan. A text from Melissa follows. Kids want to see their uncle grow up. We're family. I type one line. I'm not available for that.